Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today I'm going to tell you 5 ways to fail a building inspection. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. All right, let's get right into it. So we build a lot of decks. Today we are going for a final inspection. Now the deck's not complete cosmetically, but it is complete structurally and safety-wise. There's everything that this deck needs to pass a final building inspection is finished. So I'm gonna go over the top 5 things that you might get called out on. If you don't take care of these things, you might get a correction notice, and I'll save you some time by just taking care of them now. All right, let's get started. Let's go over here and we'll start looking at some footings. All right, so the first thing that you need to make sure of is actually down here. Now, normally when you pull a building permit, there's 3 inspections that need to happen on building a deck, at least in my region. It might vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So always check with your building department to see if there's something that maybe you need to figure out that I don't say in this video. But there's a footing inspection, there's a framing inspection, and there's a final inspection. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is your footing inspection. You have to have a positive footing to post connection on your deck, which you see right here. Now we're using helical piles on this particular deck, so we had to have a special inspection done where we recorded all of our pile pressures, and we had an engineer's representative present to witness that. We had that form signed, but you have to have a positive connection from the base of your pile, footing, whatever, to your post. So that's what we have right here. If you don't have this connection, you may not pass code. You may not pass your building inspection. The second thing, connected again to your post, you have to have a positive post to beam connection. So what we have here are strong tie post to beam connectors. These are a little bit more of a deluxe system. So these are Simpson Outdoor Accents brackets. There's one on each side of the post. It positively ties the post to the beam. And then there's these really cool looking washers and structural screws. Now these screws are structural. They're just not something you go buy at any hardware store. These are designed to withstand loads, seismic events, so on and so forth. So there you go. So that's the second thing, a positive post to beam connection. If you don't have that, you're probably not going to pass inspection. There's several different ways to do that. There's several different types of brackets you can use. So either ask your local structural engineer or check with your local building department to see what's acceptable for your area. All right, the third thing I want to talk to you guys about, you have to have a positive joist to beam connection. So every joist that we installed has to be positively connected to the beam. You'll see right here, this is a 6-inch structural timber lock made by FastenMaster that goes up at an angle through the beam and into the joist, every 14 inches or so. So just toe nailing your joists to the beam is not enough. You have to have an acceptable engineered way for the positive joist to beam connection. So that's what we're gonna start doing. You can also put on different kinds of hardware, but the hardware's most of it's ugly. They do make an Outdoor Accents hardware, but it's not really structurally rated. So I've had some issues getting that one passed, so I quit doing that. We went to a structural screw, an exterior rated 6-inch timber lock, and FastenMaster has the paperwork to back it up. So we've been using that. We like the way it looks. It's a real minimal hole and it satisfies the code, and we're not putting 10 Tico nails into a bracket and running those, and then you save that beautification, we'll call it. So it looks nice. So that's your third thing right here, that positive beam to joist connection. If you don't have that, you're probably not gonna pass code again. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, the next thing that I'm gonna show you, I'm not really down with all the time, but it's been implemented into the building code, so we have to do it. You have to have a way to create lateral tension so the deck doesn't want to fall off the house at a seismic event, earthquake, large party, bunch of people running to the end of the deck and stomping, creating a deck collapse. Believe it or not, every year people are killed because of this, that if you don't do what you're supposed to code, this can happen to you. So we are adding this bracket right here, and this one's made by FastenMaster. Strong Tie makes them as well, but it's a lateral tension tie that you fasten to the joist, and this particular bracket goes into the wall plate. So the studs of the wall come up like this, and then on top of the studs, there's a double 2x plate. We have to be installed into that plate. Regardless of elevation or the thickness of your joist or where this lands, you either have to be into a stud of the wall or into that plate, or you have to use another product, which is called like a DTT2Z, where you have to use all thread, cut open the house, install one under the floor joist, and come back. But if your floor joists run this way, like on this house, that's not gonna work. So that's why we opt for these ones instead, which we can pass code by running into the top of the wall plate or the stud plate or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a home builder, so I'm sorry, framers. All you cool framers out there, yeah, my lingo may be off a little bit. Give me some grace, man, come on, all right? And then, so that what that does is in a catastrophic event or a motion of when the deck wants to pull away from the house, these brackets are gonna help keep the joist from wanting to do that. So if you don't have those, you're not gonna pass code, and I can guarantee you this, because it's nationwide, and I was called out on it because I didn't have them installed yet on my framing inspection. So now they gotta verify that on my final to make sure that that's installed. So that's your number 4 thing, that you will not pass code or you will not pass inspection if you do not have those installed on your deck. All right, guys, the 5th thing I wanna talk to you about that you'll definitely fail inspection if you don't install on your deck are joist hangers. Joist hangers are really important. They are required by code. You can see one on every joist right here. These are made by Simpson Strong-Tie. I have a 2x10 joist, so I'm using a 2x10 joist hanger. It's called an LUS 210Z. Z stands for Z-Max, which is a special coating that withstands corrosion from pressure-treated lumber. And the way we install ours is we usually use a nail into the ledger board of the house, and then we put their 2.5-inch structural screws through the sides right here, and that helps kind of lock the joist to the ledger through the joist hanger. It's called double shear attachment. You can use a 3-inch rated for joist hanging nails, like we call them Tico nails, but they're actually a rated joist hanger nail, or you can use a 2.5-inch structural screw that will satisfy the code as well. They do make a shorter screw for face screwing into the ledger as well, but we find that that takes a while to do, and those you have to make sure that they're only installed into the ledger and not through the corners on angle through the shear holes. Those have to be 2.5-inch SD screws. All right, so there's number 5, all right? 5 things that so far. I've got a bonus for you as well. So let's talk about the actual ledger. We talked about the joist hangers, how the joists hang to the house. Probably one of the most important things on a deck is the ledger and the ledger board connection. If you don't connect your ledger to the house properly, your deck's gonna fail, and it will fail inspection as well. So I have seen some really funky things in the past. We use structural screws to attach our ledger. Our engineer prescribes the distance of how far apart the fasteners have to be. You can't just do it the same every time. Depending on the loading of your deck, the tributary loads, how far your joists are on center, how far your joists span, how far the beams are, how long the beams are, how far the posts are away from the beams, all that stuff is math that is calculated by a professional, and then he comes back and says, hey, you have prescribed 8 inches staggered, but for 2x12 you need 5 inches staggered. So I'm doing another permit right now. I'm in permitting and I have to make some changes to it, amend it, send it back to the engineer, because I didn't give it the proper distance of gap from the fasteners that go for the ledger. So if you don't have proper ledger connection, you're gonna be in trouble. Now this is a 2x10 deck with a 14-foot projection, so it's a 7-foot tributary load. So basically, I have these FastenMaster ledger locks spaced every 8 inches, which you can't see some of them because they're behind the joist, but they're staggered high, low, and there's quite a few of them in this deck. But you can kind of see where we put them and why, and that's the bonus feature. If you don't have your proper ledger connection, kiss that permit goodbye, kiss that inspection goodbye, you're doing a correction, okay? So I hope that helps some of you guys. New people, I get a lot of messages thank you for those, about the people that are possibly going to build a deck in the future or didn't have the courage to do it until they watched some of our videos. So I'm really happy about that. I'm glad that you like the channel. Don't forget to share it around. Click subscribe. It really helps us, guys. Don't forget to like this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you ever got tagged on one of those items on a final inspection on your deck. All right? Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.